You have entered Last Watch. That is your host, Bernard Meisler. I'm his sidekick, Tony DuShane. Today on the show, we're talking about Patriot, the pilot episode, season 1, and it's fantastic. But don't tell Bernard yet, wherever he is, because we need to not talk about it before we go on.
That's right.
Bernard.
Okay. And I'm confused because I thought I was your sidekick.
Oh, really?
Yeah, whatever.
Oh, we're both sidekicks then.
We got two Robins here. No Batman, two Robins.
Dude, and that leads us into episode 1 of the pilot because that guy wants to be the Robin.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about Patriot. To my mind, the greatest TV show of all time that nobody watches. I mean, some people have caught on to it. I told my daughter about it. She loved it. She told all her friends about it. Everybody I know who's seen it has loved it. You do have to have a dark sense of humor, though.
Did they get a season 3 or did they stop?
No, they stopped.
Oh,
so this show was also robbed. This show was also cursed from the beginning. This pilot, the episode 1, season 1 that we're talking about, premiered on Amazon Prime. I think it was in November or December of like 2016, 2017. And then the actual show didn't start till like 15 months later. So they put the pilot out there and then they started the show after a 15-month break.
Oh, so all they did was produce the pilot and then they were this is when they do it wrong. They got to go all in. How many episodes are in the season? 10?
I think 10, yeah.
They blew it. If you got a good premise and you got everyone together, put it in production for the 10 episodes. And this is where it's killed because someone was playing it way too safe.
Yeah, and then at any rate, it was renewed for a second season, which premiered, I think, in 2018 or something like that, and then it was canceled after the end of the second season. Without getting into any spoiler alerts, I will say that there were some threads that were left hanging, but the show does wrap up in a satisfying way. It's okay.
Cool.
There should have been 3 more seasons anyway, but it doesn't end on a cliffhanger and you're left hanging. So don't worry about that. But it was.
Well, I haven't seen the whole second season.
Second season is amazing. Second season, like all good shows, second season kicks it up a notch. They get higher production values. There's, we should talk about our protagonist, John Tavner, who. The other thing I wanted to say too is like my merit basing system is like the numerator is like just the general quality of the show, like how good is the acting, the directing, the cinematography, the writing, and then I divide that by the number of people who actually watched it. So not very many people have seen Patriot, so it gets a very high score, as opposed to like Westworld, where you divide that. You
always got to bring that in. You always got to bring that in.
Westworld's got a very large denominator. You know what I mean?
But it's just like, Tony, you're wrong, and let me tell you how many times you're wrong.
I won't let it go. The other thing I wanted to say is that Patriot, not to be confused with the egregious Mel Gibson film, The Patriot, starring the egregious and reprehensible Mel Gibson. Terrible.
Hey, but he does save his daughter in a new movie somewhere. What was it called? The Father.
Yeah,
the father-daughter.
I don't know, nor do I care. Although, just completely digressing, Apocalypto is one of the best movies of the 21st century.
I need to watch that still.
Amazing film. Yeah.
Maybe the next pandemic I'll watch that.
Yeah, he's not in it, which is probably why it's good, right? But,
okay, he directed it?
But he directed it, yeah. And it's amazing. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Like Mel Gibson did this. It's one of the best action films I've ever seen.
By the way, it's like 96 degrees outside right now, and I don't have air conditioning in this room. So thus, I will sweat just to
more. Yeah. And it's not that hot here, but we're on day, 45 of the pandemic, and I'm starting to feel like I'm just wallowing in my own filth at this point, you know?
Oh yeah, no, I keep doing my laundry. I'm super freaky about that just because I don't want to be, I'm usually filthy, but
Yeah.
now I'm
Wearing
clean.
the fresh black t-shirt. This is not the same black t-shirt every time that I'm wearing. I have a drawer full of them. But anyway, just to give you our audience, a brief overview of Patriot. So the protagonist is John Tavner. He's a CIA agent. His father is his handler. His father, played by the great Terry O'Quinn. You may remember
Oh my
John
God,
Locke from
John Locke from Lost,
John
who is the
Locke.
most interesting
Yeah.
character and amazing actor. He carried Lost. The only reason I watched every episode because I wanted to see his arc. And then, plus Jack was cute, but you know.
But yeah, so the great Terry O'Quinn. John Taverner's played by what's his name, John Dorfman, who is from New Zealand, and we're starting to see him. He's breaking out. He was just in The Invisible Man, the new film.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, again, much like Better Call Saul, really strong cast made up of people who've been kicking around Hollywood 20, 30 years, done a lot of, you look at their IMDb's, they've got a lot of NICIS, NCIS, I call NICIS, Law and Order, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But at any rate, he's basically a super spy. I mean, I love the premise of this show. He's basically a super spy. He's got incredible stamina. He goes through he's able to take incredible beatings. He's an incredible shot. He can scale buildings.
But the great part of it is he's depressed and wants to be a folk singer.
Yes, he's very depressed. He's got a terrible case of PTSD when he failed his last assignment and was locked up in a little box for several months in Egypt. Yeah.
Not to jump ahead there, but I just love it so much because one, I don't think that pitch would ever fly anywhere. Oh, we're gonna have this and this and this. Oh, but he's depressed and a folk singer, which is probably why Amazon was just like, let's just do one episode.
Yeah.
They had no clue what they were getting, which was utter brilliance.
Right. And the other thing I should mention too is that the reason he failed his last mission, he went to there was an Iranian physicist working on the nuke, and he was supposed to assassinate him, and instead he killed the maid in the room. So he wrote a folk song like, "Why do some countries have male maids? I've never seen that before." He sits on the park bench in Amsterdam, and they're saying, and his father is saying he's being a little too honest with his songs. That might work well with a regular folk singer, but not with a CIA agent who's a folk singer. He basically
he's giving away secrets as he's plucking guitar.
Yeah, he does it the open mics, and he's basically telling, narrating all the, the dirty stuff he's been doing recently. So again, one of the premises is that the CIA is totally incompetent. He's the super spy, the sad super spy, and the CIA he's got to get what they call an NOC, a non-official cover. He's supposed to go work for this pipeline company in Milwaukee. And
I got to tell you, that story arc, that subplot is so rad on so many levels. Because one, it's utterly boring. Two, he's got to be totally technical on it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I'll get into that in a second.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah. So he's got to work undercover for this Milwaukee pipeline company because they have contacts in Luxembourg and they're able to get into Iran. And his job is to take this big bag of money over to Luxembourg and give it to this Iranian who's going to interfere with an Iranian election so that this radical imam doesn't get elected who wants to build a nuke. That's the premise. And the CIA, they start out, they give him the wrong address. It's East Noble Street. It was supposed to be West Noble Street. I was 10 minutes late. So he pisses off, the people who are supposed to hire him. He's supposed to be a shoo-in for this job. And let's see, I've got it written down here. Let's see. the opening scene, it starts with, they just develop this fantastic nonsense pipe laying terminology and jargon. Like, what do you know about fillet welds? And so let's say you have to tie down your baker knots with the truss underbelly's uncracked quads. How many of those would you need? He's just like, 2? And they're like, 2? Said, no, I meant 200. And like, oh yeah, of course, 200. Yeah. It's freaking hilarious. The whole all that jargon. In the book that his boss wrote called "The Structural Dynamics of Flow," which sounds like a Beastie Boys song. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that would be good. Yeah.
And that also, by the way, is season 2 when they kicked up the production values and everything. They use a Beastie Boys. "Sure Shot" is the theme song for season 2. Yeah.
Now I'm glad because we started and you said, hey, watch episode 1 of season 2. So I watched that and you're like, no, dude, screw it. We're doing the pilot. Yeah. I'm like, cool, I'm in. And but watching how the director and cinematographer work together on the pilot and on the first episode of season 2 just blew my mind, because season 2 was like an orchestra of just art. You could just, the choices they made were so just fantastic.
Yeah.
How they did a close-up in a car, how they made car scenes interesting. Usually car scenes really suck. They made it interesting visually. It was just, anyway, well, we could do that on the next episode.
Yeah.
Let's do every episode of Patriot for last watch from here on out.
We could. So yeah, again, what happened, we originally said we were going to do season 2, episode 1. And then I'm here in quarantine with my daughters. My oldest daughter is a big fan. She's watched it all. But my youngest daughter hasn't seen it yet. So she's like, can we start from the beginning? And we're like, yeah, sure. And then I watched it again. And after having watched the show a couple of times already, but like, at least a year ago or whatever, it was great to see that pilot and how they planting the seeds and doing all the groundwork. They introduce every character who's going to play an important role in the show. And yeah, I also just love that, like, everybody, okay, let me go back for a second. So that first scene is his interview for the Milwaukee Pipe Laying Company. just sounds so funny.
And I love it's Milwaukee, America.
It's Milwaukee, America. And just even the locales, and they're going to Luxembourg. Have you ever seen a show that takes place in Luxembourg before?
I know, exactly.
And so
Luxembourg, and then they did shoot there, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So Luxembourg's on the map for locations. I'm sure they were expensive.
Yeah.
I have a feeling.
Season 2, they kicked it up again, and they shoot in Paris. Season 2 mostly takes place in Paris.
Yeah.
So what did I want to say? But just that opening scene, he's going for this interview. He's basically flubbing it, even though he's supposed to be a shoo-in. The CIA supposedly trained him in this jargon and set up this meeting, and he's supposed to. But there's another guy, Steven, who does much better than him. And this is the opening scene. And then he pushes him in front of a car.
Is it a car? Oh, it's a mail truck, I think,
right? A mail truck, yeah.
It was so rad. He's just like, so how'd you do? Oh, I think I did good. Oh, do you think you're going to take the job? Well, this company has a lot to offer. Oh, poof.
Yeah. And boy, does it. And I imagine there's like, I don't know, if the average person, maybe 90% of people might have turned the show off right then and there.
Oh, really? Oh, that was amazing.
It was amazing, but it's so dark, So this is where we're going. This show is hilarious. I mean, laugh like each episode. I just laugh out loud at least several times. It's not too many. And it's not really a comedy, it's a dramedy, right? But there's not even many straight up comedies that'll make me laugh as much as this shit does, but it's so dark. I mean,
it stays in the tragedy. That's the great thing. Yeah. I think that, but by the way they do the beats, it's if he sat there and planned how he was going to kill him, that would be boring. It's an instant decision of, oh, he just needs to die. Boom. Oh, wait, he's still around.
Yeah. And he recovers, right? The guy recovers, but he's brain damaged, and it's like a 6-year-old, but he still does his job better than John, so they hire him anyway as his assistant, right? and there's just so many characters like that are introduced, and then he meets Dennis, who he like actually says, "Hey, I'm a secret agent, and I need your pee," because he's been in Amsterdam smoking weed and playing folk music for months. So he's going to fade.
That was, yeah. And then we got the urinals later, which is one of my favorite scenes in that, where all the executives pee at the same time, right next to each other, and just nonchalantly chat.
Yeah.
It's like the most it's like we're so comfortable with being corporate America.
Yeah.
Our penises out near each other. We got to keep the conversation going.
I will give a minor spoiler for season 2. There's a scene in season 2 where they show all of the Luxembourg policemen and detectives standing at a urinal, and the camera is looking at them from the front. And I'm sure this has set the record for penises in a TV show. There's like half a dozen guys, and they all have like tiny little dicks. It's hilarious.
Oh my God. If I wish I was a network executive, because if I heard we're just going to do full frontal from the point of view of a urinal, I'd be like,
yeah,
you got the series.
Yeah. Well,
you're spoiling the show for Lucy.
I'm just talking.
Yeah. Wait, is that your daughter who's is that the one who made us watch the pilot?
Yeah.
Well, tell her thank you.
My wife said we're spoiling the show for him, but I'm just talking about like the first episode mostly. So.
Well, yeah, sorry, we could spoil it. They know what they're getting into. If they haven't watched Patriot yet, they're wrong.
Yeah, but also I wanted to talk about his brother, who you meet, not his brother, Dennis, who is played by Chris Conrad, who's the brother of the showrunner, creator, director Stephen Conrad.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And this is something my daughter told me, actually, is that I didn't realize that, but Dennis gets so humiliated and tortured throughout this series, and apparently part of that was just like his brother fucking with him. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
and I gotta look at Steve Conrad. I gotta look at his other stuff. I don't know if he's done anything like this.
He's done. He did another show which we actually started watching. Called Perpetual Grace, which for some reason...
Is it as good, or is it
It's really good so far. It's Perpetual Grace, for some reason relegated to the wasteland of Epics.
Oh.
Epics, that network that nobody has.
Epics does really good stuff. I mean, their version of Get Shorty, I don't know if you watched it, was fantastic. They did Get Shorty, and they did something else. And Get Shorty on Epics was better than the film and better than the book.
Oh, all right. But
you haven't seen it? That may be what we do next.
Perpetual Grace stars Jimmy Simpson. Come on, Jimmy Simpson.
I don't know.
Young William on Westworld.
Oh, really?
Your favorite show? Cool. Yeah.
It's not my favorite show.
And who else is in it? Ben Kingsley is in it.
Oh, no way. Oh, yeah. I love anything.
Yeah, and it's and Terry O'Quinn again is in it. It's
a friend of the Conrads.
Yes, and also Chris Conrad is in it again, playing completely different character. His character Dennis in Patriot is like a milquetoast kind of guy.
Oh, I gotta watch that.
And in Perpetual Grace, he's like a speed freak. Yeah, terrible. Anyway. I don't know.
You know why? I was just thinking about this. Why the show speaks to me is because he's in a situation at high stakes, CIA, but it's corporate shit, and he's got to do corporate shit, and all he wants to do is be a poet.
Right.
In the end.
Yeah.
And I think that's relatable on so many levels, because almost everything I've done in my life, all I've done is go to the bathroom. If I'm on a temp gig or if I was working in tech, I was writing poetry or I was writing stories for 20 minutes in the bathroom while my bosses probably thought I had IBS. And I just kind of played it off like, oh, it's tough stomach there, but I needed to get paid as a writer, even if it was in a corporate environment.
Yeah.
So I love him because he's just trying to bare his soul, people.
Yeah.
Kill people, but sometimes you got to bare your soul.
And there's another funny thing too. It comes up later where his father had persuaded him to go into the spy business and not become a musician like he really wanted to, so because a musician's life is too hard. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And then he didn't come in on this episode, which I was surprised. His partner, his acoustic partner.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, who
Played
was
by the great Mark D. Boone.
oh, he's amazing. I
Yeah.
love that guy in everything he does. Yeah, him and like
Yeah.
Steve Buscemi were like
Yeah.
in an
Those
improv
guys were my
troupe together.
bartenders in New York back in the day. Yeah.
Really?
The 7B bar, aka the Horseshoe Bar, aka Vazax, 7th Street and Avenue B. There was all actors who ran, and Mark Boone was the bartender there for a long time.
Dude, I would have been there every night, just like going.
I certainly was. Yeah. For about 3 years, I think I was there.
Yeah,
every
yeah.
night.
And it all is a blur. It's all a blur.
Yeah. And one more thing I want to talk about before we wrap up is another character is John's brother Eddie, who is played by the great Michael Chernus, best known for Orange is the New Black. And his brother Eddie is sent to help him and assist him however he can by the father. It's hilarious. He's a congressman.
Right. Oh, he's rad. Yeah.
Yeah. Calls himself Cool Rick. That's his nickname for himself for some reason.
And his damn kid tries to be like Snow. What was it? Mary Poppins. And the first episode, was it this? Yeah, it was the first episode. He's like, "Oh, Mary Poppins flies with an umbrella." Boom.
Yeah.
And then later on, the spoiler alert, his kid's like going through the frame in a wheelchair.
Oh God. But one thing I want to say about Michael Chernus is, so a number of people told me when they read my book, "There's never been a better time to die." They would make a really good Netflix miniseries. And people said, "So who would you like to see play the main character?" And I thought about it, and I was like, "Oh, I don't know." And then it hit me that Michael Chernus would be the perfect guy. Cool Rick would be the perfect guy to play the protagonist in my book. Turns out, one of my best friends is friends with him.
Yeah.
And I actually knew him, saw him at a party a couple of years. So I asked my friend, "Hey, can I send you a book to give to Michael Chernus? Seeing if he's like interested. Maybe he'll pass it on to his agent. Maybe something will happen." And here's the unbelievable part, Tony. You're not going to believe this.
Yeah.
I never heard back from him.
Well, now, do you know how your relationship with your friend is with that guy? With the actor? Because sometimes the person presenting, even though they seem like it's a good idea, is the wrong person to send to present.
It could be. I don't know. And everybody's been wrapped up in this other, been having other things on their mind. So who knows? Maybe it'll still happen.
Oh, was this recently that you got that?
Maybe a couple of months ago, something like that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, that would be great. Okay, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about our development plan off camera, because I really like your book, and I think that's a good idea. So
yeah. At any rate, enough. The show is so good. It's so funny. And again, the plotting and the character development and the writing is just, mwah. It's just so good. Yeah. And
they nail so much. You were right. So many storylines are just open on that pilot episode.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, I want to read the pilot script, because that is that's the definitive pilot, is showing us a good story, but opening up questions.
Right.
Where it's like, you want to open questions and you want to show us exactly what the tone of the show is. And it's just like, oh man, I'm going to find the pilot somewhere so I can just read it. Hopefully, I want to find the shooting script to see how different it was.
I'd love to see it if you get your hands on it. I'd love to read it myself.
Yeah.
But at any rate,
what are you making me do next week, Bernard? What are you making me do?
I don't know. I don't know. We could do 0, 0, 0.
Well, all right.
Okay.
Sounds good. I don't know what that is.
Yeah. 0, 0, 0 is basically Narcos with an HBO production budget.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, it's really good. I just started it. But at any rate, Patriot, super dark, super funny, brilliantly written, great cast, the perfect show for our dark and hilarious times that we're living through right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, man.
Hey, thanks everyone for watching us pontificate.
Yes, thanks to our
viewer.
Do that well. That's thanks to our viewer, Bob.
Yes.
In Wisconsin.
No, our ratings have gone up. I think we're in double digits now.
Yes.
I know.
Yeah.
Fame! What are we going to do with all the money we're making? We're influencers.
Micro. I believe we're called micro influencers.
Micro influencer. That's
Yeah.
the new catchphrase.
Yeah. All right, man. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.